This is Off the Break Podcast, presented by Silver Screen Insider.
Happy Friday, everyone, and welcome back to Off the Break Podcast, your podcast dedicated to current movie theater operations, news, and insights from the people that book the movies. I'm Cody, and with me are Kyle and Ken.
Hello, everyone.
Happy March 5th. This is going to be a new national
5th.
holiday for movie theater operators. We have a Disney animated film in theaters.
We already had an animated film in theaters.
But it's a Disney animated
This is a
one.
Disney animated film.
This one's a big deal. This one's a big deal.
Okay. It's good people, too.
Croods
We'll
and-
get into that later.
Croods and Tom and Jerry were the testing ground, but now
now
we're
the
in the
big
stretch.
the big boys are playing now.
Oh, yeah. Disney's up to bat.
Oh, I am just excited. It's a huge relief to have two PG films, one after the other.
Mm-hmm.
Like big time releases. This is awesome. Our theaters are seeing
Results.
real results, like actually measurable growth in our
Yeah.
grosses over that stretch from Christmas until the end of February. We knew it was going to be tough, but it was getting pretty bleak.
It was a slog.
Well, let's just say we hoped that some federal funding would come in that time, and it hasn't. So, worst case scenario happened. We had to rely on what we could find.
Yeah, but things are going to be looking up now. We had a good week actually.
We did.
It wasn't like a down and glum week like
No.
normal like most of them have. Like this one's good. This
Yeah.
one's been a good one.
We got some good news about some release schedule changes.
Mm-hmm.
That was positive, and we have some updates on the Shuttered Venues grants, and we've got a new movie to talk about.
That
'cause-
all three of us have seen?
Yeah, because we saw a screener. So this will be good and positive. I got my Mountain Dew. I'm all set.
I got my Mountain Dew.
Yeah, Kyle has his blue one. I have my regular one. Ken has fizzy water in a bottle. I don't know what he's got over there.
Mystery fizzy water.
Mystery fizz.
We'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
We'll say it's Mountain Dew.
It's like orange Mountain Dew.
All right, so what are we starting with?
Okay, so upcoming release schedule changes. Well, at first we got some bad news that F9 moved from May 28th Memorial Weekend to June 25th. And we're like, oh no, everything's going to move out of May. But then we got great news that A Quiet Place 2 moved in to that May 28th spot. So instead of F9 over Memorial Weekend, we're going to get Quiet Place 2, which I'm equally as excited for.
Yeah, it was surprising, but it made all of us really happy. Like the first thing we hear on like a Friday morning is this news. Like it was great.
And then
And one of our longest lasting films that wasn't a major title was Come Play, which was a PG-13 horror.
Right.
And this is a PG-13 horror franchise horror.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's just, I mean, if Come Play did any business, this bodes extremely well for this moving up.
Right.
and
Yeah.
filling that
I'm
void.
almost a little bit more excited for Quiet Place 2 because F9 and all the Fast and Furious movies has a history of like big gross and then fizzling, like burning out pretty quickly.
Sure.
And we need movies right now that will last a while because
So you think A Quiet Place 2 can do that?
oh yeah, I think it'll have legs. I think it'll last a lot longer. Paramount's going to do their 45-day window on it. So having a window coupled with a franchise that I think could last longer and not burn out so quickly.
And the first one covered the entire window to DVD at most of the locations. It played a full 12 weeks, if not longer.
Yeah.
Plus, when it comes to the theater experience, like people need to be quiet for this movie anyway. So like with less people and everyone spaced out more, like this could be a win for people going to the theater.
I know this might be a great experience for
Yeah,
'em.
it might be even better than the first time.
And I'm excited that Paramount did this. I think that they probably not only wanted to capitalize on the weekend. The film is done, so it's easy for them to move up. But I'm sure they just launched their Paramount Plus, and I think they want to get this to Paramount Plus as fast as they can.
45 days fast.
Yeah. So I think by moving it up significantly that they'll, have it be available on Paramount Plus by the summer. So I think it's a win for them and a win for us.
It's a
Yeah.
bigger boost for the service because otherwise it was going to come out in October, November on Paramount Plus, and that's too long for them to get this streaming service moving.
Now,
Right.
I actually think that moving F9, while I'm kind of glad it moved back, not very far back, just into June, I am concerned by the June date that it's going to bump up into Maverick. And if I'm choosing between F9 and Maverick on a screen, I'm going to wait and take Maverick over the 4th of July holiday.
Not to mention the Venom sequel is also on that June date as well.
Yeah.
I imagine that Sony will move it back, but I don't know how far back they would go.
Or maybe they'll move it up.
I mean, they could too. I'm just thinking in terms of, what most studios have been doing lately. But maybe when they see Paramount, they could also move up.
Yeah. So I am concerned, and we'll have to wait and see what Universal does for large screen formats. But if they want 2 weeks on F9 and a PLF screen, they're not getting it. I am not going to give up Maverick, which is definitely a PLF movie, for the 9th Fast and Furious movie. It is a PLF, but if I have to guarantee them 2 weeks on it, I'm not taking PLFs on that.
And we just got extra footage from Maverick where it showed IMAX cameras mounted to fighter jets.
No, if I'm choosing between them, Maverick is going to
on any screen. It's going to look better, but on preferred large format or Atmos or anything, you're not going to get that screen away from that.
Yeah,
no.
That's the film to play on it.
Yeah,
for this year, I think that's the film to play on it.
I don't care if you're a week ahead; you're not getting that. If you get your 1 week, Universal, and then it's Paramount's turn to have their week for Maverick on PLF. So that's the only kind of big issue I can see at that time by moving into that spot.
Yeah,
that's going to be a really big question. Peter Rabbit moved up, another one that moved up.
Wow.
So Sony did such a good job. I mean, it wasn't over Easter weekend. That was my first. I got a call from a Sony rep, and they're like, "We moved up Peter Rabbit." I'm like, "Did you move it to Easter?"
They were like, "No,
no, but closer."
Because that's the obvious place to put it, the most obvious place to put it.
So close, but we'll take it.
I'll take any movement forward
of a PG movie.
Yeah, of a PG movie is fantastic, and ahead of A Quiet Place. So that'll play really well.
Shout out to Sony for the first time in a long time.
Yeah, it was a great decision.
Thanks for that phone call, guys.
And then, okay, so that's where we praise Sony, and then we get upset with Sony because they sold Fatherhood to Netflix.
Yeah, we had a Kevin Hart family comedy.
Yeah, and he sold it to Netflix. I wasn't surprised to hear that because I think we talked in the last podcast. All we had in our system was title art. We didn't actually get anything from marketing.
Yeah, they weren't showing
no
anything.
Publicity stills, no one sheets. There were no theatrical assets for this other than title art.
I wonder if this had more to do with the fact that Kevin Hart has an existing relationship with Netflix.
It probably does.
That's the reason why they put it there instead of somewhere else.
Yeah.
But, it's any film lost to streaming now is a big loss.
It is a big loss. I mean, we could have really used it in April. It was the middle of April title, and we needed.
It was up against Mortal Kombat. What a perfect counter-programming move.
It's true,
right
though.
Before, right before Easter. So you would have held it through Easter.
It was after Easter.
Wasn't it? Oh, no, it was after Easter. Okay, I forget. Easter was on the...
Coming this Easter, Mortal Kombat.
Ooh, yucky.
I mean, it'd be like Deadpool and Valentine's Day, right? It could work.
It could work.
But as far as, you see these titles juxtaposed against each other. Like we have Mortal Kombat and Fatherhood. And then at 7-2, we had Top Gun Maverick and Minions, Rise of Gru, which is going to be, that's perfect counter-programming.
Yeah. But
well, in theory, but...
Well, yeah. Universal did. That's the last movement we have is that Universal moved Minions, Rise of Gru out of this year to next year.
Come on.
I know. I wonder if it's a production issue on them. Is that film done? I
would have to think it is by now.
No, but they put Fast 9 there, so they couldn't risk weeks of Fast 9 with Minions taking their grosses, but
that's true. You couldn't. They didn't want to lose their screen.
And then if you don't put it in August or September, then you're at Christmas. And I'm sure Universal's already got their big slate set up for Christmas to keep.
So it got pushed to next year.
You guys remember the first Minions movie coming out in 2015? This sequel is coming out in 2022. That's nearly 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Like the audience for this is almost like teenagers by now, right? Like 10 years. Like it's. I mean, I'm sure there's a new generation that loves it all the same, but it's just wild to me. Like it's gone by so fast.
With them putting the Minions on the screen with the first Despicable Me coming into theaters, we were like, this is not going to work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Nobody was like, this is going to be a 6-movie franchise.
Yeah.
Nobody was even considering that. And then after that first movie popped, it was like, all we want is Minions on our screens. It was
Find a way.
It was so perfect. Like, I don't know what it was about that creation, but
Lightning in
usually
a
there
bottle.
has to be something there, like something relating to it. A movie about a villain that has yellow banana eating creatures that follow him around. There's no selling on that. It's not like Secret Life of Pets where it's like dogs talk.
Right. What is the secret life of the pets you have?
Tom and Jerry.
And still they're like, is there any way to put in those yellow guys in the Secret Life?
Yeah. I mean, and you had nothing going into the original. Like there was very little of them in the trailer.
Well, Illumination was a new studio.
They were brand new.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a big swing that really, I mean, God, the merchandising on Minion stuff today has to be, it would make you cry.
Yeah.
Like how much money those Minions bring in when they haven't had their own movie in 6 years.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know. It's just wild to me that it's still going. It just keeps going.
Yeah.
Pandemic or not.
But what does Illumination have besides Minions, Despicable Me, and Secret Life of Pets? They haven't. Do they have anything else?
They have that Sing movie, and I think there's going to be a sequel.
There is a Sing too.
The Grinch remake.
Yeah.
Was Grinch Illumination?
Okay. They've had so many home runs. I mean, they're like Pixar style. I mean, I know it's animation. I know it's an easy comparison.
Yeah.
But they've hit it out of the park every time.
Yeah, they've all been like good to great movies.
Yeah,
so.
and good grossers.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
I don't care if the movie's any good. Let's put some butts in seats.
Yeah.
No yawning during the podcast. Wake up.
Get your Mountain Dew, Cody.
Everybody
Come on.
take a stretch. Get that yawn out that you've been holding in all day.
I'm okay. I'm ready to go.
It's the end of the week, and I'm looking forward to a relaxing weekend.
And it's nap time now.
It is.
No,
we
Not
got
yet.
through the changes. Now it's time for booking strategies.
Okay.
Which are put Raya on as many screens as you think it needs.
Right.
Put Chaos Theory on one screen. Maybe a
Walking?
screen. Chaos Walking. Chaos Theory, is that what I said? I don't know. Whatever it is. Spider-Man B-. on at least one screen, maybe a screen and a half. If you've got Boogie on screen, that's a screen.
Mm-hmm.
You got Tom and Jerry on a screen and a half, 2 screens still. We're playing new movies on multiple screens. We're there.
This is a happy day.
Unless Cody's got something else to add.
No, I think that's pretty much been my strategy is 2 screens of Raya, hold 2 screens of Tom and Jerry, and add Chaos Walking in, and then hold what was doing good before. Now the real issue is going to come. We'll get through the next couple weeks, no problem, and then we've got a bump of new films with Nobody and Godzilla at the end of the month. But April is looking rough, and that's where I'm hoping that some smaller studios step up.
April's a literal Mortal Kombat. It's the February of months.
It's just, I mean, there's nothing but Mortal Kombat in February right now, or in April right now.
Yeah.
That's it. And the Mortal Kombat's going to be R-rated, very bloody and gruesome. It's not going to play everywhere.
No.
So
it's not going to play to a wide audience, that's for sure.
There's whole states that you can mark off that aren't going to play.
Like I think for rated R, Nobody from Universal at the end of March will play wider and probably better because it's got a comedy, it's got that action element. I think it'll translate a little wider than Mortal Kombat. I think Mortal Kombat's just going to be too bloody. Awesome, don't get me wrong. I really want to see it. I'm very excited. But if I'm looking at like family-friendly audiences, it's not that. And I don't think you can even justify it to some conservative adults. Probably won't like that.
It was prior to the MPAA allowing references, this is an X-rated film.
Yeah.
I mean, it just is. But they took the worst parts of every movie and no, they tore someone's spine out in this movie, and it was rated R.
Everyone, go watch the trailer. It's awesome.
I mean, his arms getting frozen off, and then the mist of blood. I'm like, ooh, it's going to be gory. Awesome, but gory.
If that's the trailer.
That was the trailer.
How aggressive is the movie going to be?
Yeah.
I'm so excited for this.
I know, it'll be great, but that's it.
That's it.
For April, as it stands right now. And so that I'm not worried about March. I think I have a really good grasp. I have some backup films that I've got in my pocket for March. April's gonna be tough.
February and April are the Cinderella's evil stepsisters. They are juxtaposed against the month of March, which we've got major releases, and then May, which is set up right now to be
the start of summer.
The biggest month we've had since December of 2019. Yeah.
Oof.
That's wild.
When you put it into perspective like that, that hurts. It cuts deep.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll have
I think March, luckily we'll have enough kids films, and it'll do well because people will be taking spring breaks. Now, a lot of kids aren't in school, and spring breaks won't matter as much this year as they have in the past, but there's still some spring breaking going on, and so we're just loading up on the family product for that, and that'll kind of get us through a little bit in March, and that'll translate a little bit into that first part of April. But after that, I don't know what we're gonna do. I'm just hoping something comes up.
Keep
in
playing
that time.
family titles and maybe
I
Nobody
just
in
don't,
Godzilla.
I just don't want to go back to repertory. I really don't
Never
think there's. I just don't think there's any. The last few repertory films I played, people didn't make minimums,
Right.
even discounted minimums, and that's rough. I think it was kind of neat when we didn't have product and people were new to the pandemic, and it was like, oh, let's go see these movies that we haven't seen and support the theater, and it was just the perception was different. Now it's like, I know new movies are coming out. I'm not wasting my money on these.
Yeah.
It's time to move on.
Time to move on.
Yeah, I'm looking at that calendar in May, which you can see at silverscreeninsider.com. That is possibly the biggest month we will have since the Philadelphia Eagles were the reigning Super Bowl champions. All right? Think about that. All right? We're going to keep putting these things into perspective. Since before coronavirus was even a word in your lexicon, somebody said coronavirus, you're like, oh, hangover. Yeah, I get it. It's a hangover.
Been there, buddy. Me too.
I've had that coronavirus too.
What a simpler time that was.
What a silly joke that would have been back then. Now somebody tells you they have the coronavirus and they're calling in.
Are you going to die?
But I'll be in tomorrow. No, you won't.
No, you won't.
You could get locked in your house for 14 days.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
So are we moving on?
We are.
All right.
Updates.
Speaking of coronavirus.
Yeah, updates on the Shuttered Venue Operators Grant.
You could literally use that for every conversation you have in life right now.
I have to imagine that we've had transitions like that before.
Speaking of coronavirus, what do you want to order in for dinner tonight?
Yeah. What's the Amazon bill?
Oh, it's a good day, folks. It's a good day.
Oh, goodness.
Okay.
Good thing this Gatorade is kicking in.
Yeah. fizzy mystery water in your Gatorade bottle. How old is that Gatorade bottle? Is that a couple weeks? Maybe it's time to get a new one. Maybe you get a metal bottle instead.
I'm hoping
there's like microscopic plastic inside your fizz water.
Microscopic plastic takes me before the virus gets here.
I mean, I'll judge you as I'm drinking a Mountain Dew.
That has to be terrible for you.
Yeah, gross, kid.
As I drink
that
my
sugar
blue
made
Mountain
from petroleum
Dew.
That you're putting in yourself right now.
But you know
That's
what?
right.
It's getting
Unless
her
it
away.
comes from a fountain at an independently owned theater, then put it down.
Yep.
Chug that soda.
Shuttered Venue Operators Grant.
Yes.
SVOG.
SVOG. The SBA released an update to their frequently asked questions. They were supposed to do it last Friday. We checked, and there was no updates. But they conveniently posted this week, and then they date it from last Friday. So don't be fooled. It wasn't there last Friday.
Oh, yeah.
We would have talked about it on the podcast.
Trying to pull a fast one, people.
The ones... there's becoming a dilemma here between SVOG and PPP. Basically, SVOG was supposed to be implemented already. Mm-hmm. It's just taking so long. There's no application date in sight. They haven't built the portal. We're looking at maybe April right now for applying, May to get the money probably.
Yeah.
So this is turning serious. That this money was supposed to help people get through this time to the summer when the product came back, and we're not getting it right now. So a lot of operators are running out of funds. They're just running out of operating capital, and they're getting pressure from the banks to apply for second round PPP. So we said it on the podcast several times. NATO has even reiterated, if you merely apply for PPP, regardless if you accept the money or don't, you are going to be automatically disqualified from applying for SVOG until the point where SBA has declined your application. So there's some different scenarios here that we'll walk through real quick. If we go by the FAQs that were post-dated this last Friday, SBA is saying that if you apply and your application is approved, you are not able, on page 2, question 6, to deny that money and still apply for SVOG. So there is a weird gray period where you could apply for PPP, and while your application is being considered, can you apply for SVOG? That's a little gray area, and that's not been confirmed. If you apply for PPP and your application is accepted, you're automatically not unable to apply for SVOG. If you apply for PPP and are declined PPP money, which can happen, I've never heard of anybody being declined, but it can happen on a second draw, then you can apply for SVOG, but you cannot apply for SVOG until you are declined if your PPP application has been processed. So basically, if you were very conservative and you were merely going off of what the FAQs on SBA says, and you want an SVOG grant, you should not apply for PPP. Like they state it in several of these questions that you cannot apply for PPP to do this. However, because this SVOG is taking so long to get to operators, and it's becoming such an issue, and the timeline for PPP is running out, at the end of March, there is an amendment on the new stimulus bill that will be introduced next week from Chuck Schumer. And the amendment will allow you to not only apply for PPP, but you can receive PPP and then deduct that amount from SVOG. So when you go to apply for SVOG, the SVOG grant, you are able to apply for your amount minus PPP. So I think it's going to be taken care of, and you're going to be able to apply for both. However, this amendment hasn't been tacked on yet. It won't happen until next week. Then the bill has to go from the Senate back to the House, and the reconciliation process has to, before it gets actually implemented into law. So I think that will all happen next week or within the next 2 weeks. So you'll still be within your deadline of PPP. And NATO was kind of saying on the call yesterday that people were being encouraged just to apply for PPP now, because we are hearing that some banks, even though you have until the 31st of March to apply for PPP, are cutting off the application deadlines early so that they are able to process them in time. So I don't really have an answer for anybody. I think we really need to look and see where this amendment's going. And that'll give some indication. But best case scenario out of all of this is you're able to get PPP now and deduct it from SVOG and get SVOG later. If that amendment fails, then you have to make a big decision on if you want a little bit of PPP now or you want a lot of SVOG later.
Yeah.
unless you doo-doo in your underoos.
Are you just giggling every time I say PPP?
So hard on the inside.
This is serious, Ken. What are we going to do?
PPP. They couldn't have named it anything else.
I don't want to have to say payroll protection program
No,
every single time just to be an adult here.
They knew that when they put it together too. And then they had SOS, and it could have been SOSS, Save Our Screens and Stages. Like, no, SVOG, much better.
Yeah. I mean, someone said PPP with a straight face. And they're also humorless that they didn't laugh at it.
Yeah.
I've said it so many times with a straight face just now.
SVFU.
Because I'm an adult, Ken. So, check out the updated FAQs. It's so many pages now. I printed it out. You might not want to do that. It's 20 pages.
That's a lot of trees.
And a lot of it goes into more of the live venue operators, defining what a rig is, what lighting is, because there's a lot more. This bill was really crafted for live venues, theatrical productions, not for cinemas. So the cinema section is really short. It's tiny, and they still don't have any information on whether film buyers can apply for SVOG. They've still not clarified that.
Yeah, I mean, they say like certain agencies can be able to sign up for this, and it's still unknown if like film buyers kind of count as that, but maybe there's a way to where
it's still unknown, but we're gonna apply nonetheless,
at least give it a shot, I suppose. What
can happen, but we either get money or they say no.
No, for everybody, stay the course with this. You don't want to. This is grant money. This is free money.
I know, but I just feel for people because, like us, they're running up against a clock of they need capital now. They need operating capital now.
It sounds like they seem positive about this.
Yeah.
Like NATO seemed positive about a lot of things during this whole process. But do what you have to do. But there is so much bureaucracy tied in to this SVOG stuff.
And so political. SBA has really slowed this down, and part of the amendment that Schumer is proposing next week not only will allow you to apply for PPP, but it also gives more money to SBA to hire more people, hopefully move this process along. And that's just very much needed, but it's just sad. It's sad that our bureaucracy has slowed this so far down, and that I'm sure people are working hard on it. I really am. There's just normal people at these things, but
some of them.
It comes from the top down at some of these agencies, and it's just slowed down, and it's frustrating because these are people's livelihoods on the line, and they're just waiting. They're just waiting. They don't know what to do. They need capital now, and they're being told, well, if you apply for a little bit of capital that'll get you to the point, then you miss out on a lot of capital that could actually save your business, because PPP is not going to save anybody. PPP is like a Band-Aid, and SVOG is like whole triage, defibrillator, like we're back in business. I even did the hand things.
Oh, really?
Ken just laughed.
Nailed it.
We didn't notice, Cody.
Cody Clooney over here.
So hopefully they actually, get to rush this out and make this work as soon as they can. But
SSI also got a notification that the Women's Business Center in Los Angeles is holding a webinar on Monday, which is unfortunate because I was like, if anybody in the business should know that we never do webinars for movie theaters on Mondays. But a Monday at noon on Pacific Standard Time, they're going to host a free webinar. You need to register, but they're going to go through the Shuttered Venues grant. So this is being moderated by Emma Maxey at Outreach and Marketing Specialist with the U.S. Small Business Administration. So we'll have somebody from SBA moderating it, as well as Sandy Holmes from 2656 Marketing. And they're going to go through this grant and answer questions, and it's a free webinar. And I think what's going to be nice about this one is that you will have an SBA representative moderating it. So hopefully we'll have a lot of information on it. Now, I don't know if they're going to record it so you can view it later. So that's going to be a bit of an issue because Mondays are just really hard.
Yeah.
To take time out of the day for. But that is available. Please look at the newsletter and the website and stuff that we posted. I think we sent out a newsletter yesterday announcing it, and is it also on the site, Kyle?
Yes, it is on the site. We're probably going to post it on social media as well, Facebook and Instagram pages, for the register link to be able to be a part of that.
So there's 2 registrations, one if you're in California, one if you're outside California.
Right. Yeah.
So be aware of that. That's going to be super interesting. Hopefully it'll be better than the last kind of SBA hosted webinar, which was like 15 minutes and gave no information on this. So I have a good feeling about this one. So I'm going to even try to tune in to it on Monday because I think there'll be some good information on there.
If you can find time, make it work. I think it'll be worthwhile.
Yeah, I'm just going to say it. Emma Maxey, very accomplished woman, but she is a silver fox.
Is she?
Oh, yeah.
Did you look it up?
Oh, yeah. I look up all of these just in case.
It's research, right?
I guess.
I gotta be able to write this phone off somehow.
I'm sure that's not the way we're supposed to be writing the phone off.
Nope. Works.
No works.
Research.
Okay.
It's for never mind. It's for business.
Try that IRS. It's now documented on audio.
I think you have to get that approved by your boss if that is work related.
Hey, you're a fox too.
We will have a discussion after this.
Can I leave?
Appropriate. I'm not only your boss, I'm HR now.
HR, is that Kyle now?
I don't think you guys want me to be a part of this.
I think we're putting.
I don't think Kyle wants to be HR and a part of this.
Definitely not. No.
Or our listeners. Well, can we move on to the awesome film we got to see this week?
Yes.
So Disney let us have a screener of Raya and the Last Dragon. So we got to watch that yesterday. And I know I'm not supposed to allow people unauthorized in it, but I let my kids come watch it. And it was really, really fun.
Well, Disney's going to take away your kids, so
yeah,
hope it was worth it.
Kyle, bleep that out.
Disney will be excited. The kids were so excited. They loved it. It was so good. Our local movie theater is closed here, so I couldn't watch it with the boys in the theater, even if I wanted to. But they really enjoyed it. And it was good to see that reaction in them, because they haven't really got to watch a new movie in so long.
Oh, yeah.
So
yeah.
It was good. They really enjoyed it. And Raya was, the animation was so pretty. I really wish I would have been able to see it in the theater. It just really needed to be seen on a big screen.
No, it's outstanding. I mean, if anyone can see this on a big screen, they're going to be so lucky because it just makes this fantasy world pop. It just makes, all the action like really hard hitting and really good and just so amazing to watch. And yeah, I mean, Disney animation, we've always known that they're just so good to begin with, but it just works. And that type of animation that they do, it just works so well with this story.
Yeah, it was good. And the dragons came off beautifully and the boys loved them. So I'm really excited. I have a lot of good feelings about this movie. What were we saying? This is like the movie that they made for American audiences that Chinese audiences would also like, where Mulan, they kind of made them for Chinese audiences and it just fell flat.
Yeah, I mean, the cultural influences are in this movie. I think it will work well for American audiences.
Even though it's not a Chinese character, it's a Southeast Asian character.
Right.
It's a mythological geographic region.
It was just nice to see a film that I think all audiences could appreciate regardless of the region. It was just good. It was done well overall.
Yeah, exactly. And, the story is the same of, two friends, the hero and the sidekick, like trying to save the world or the land or whatever it is. And, we've seen that from Disney before, but I think it was just like the characters and the themes, especially some themes I think are pretty mature for kids to be watching. I just think those are really, they just really hit so well that I think kids will have this be able to be a movie that's very memorable for them.
Yeah. What do you think, Ken?
It's just the prototypical Disney movie. It hits all the switches. It's perfect. And like you were saying before, it was I don't know why they were pandering to I know why they were pandering to a Chinese audience with Mulan, because there were funds being exchanged.
Yeah.
But everybody loves what our creatives create.
Yeah.
Like there's a reason why things are like films go across political borders because we make them for our audience and people are like, oh, I like that too. So there's no reason
what a crazy concept
to pander to anybody specifically, because let the creatives create.
Yeah.
Don't put political borders on a film and then create it for that. Not here. No. It doesn't work here.
No, and it doesn't really work anywhere else. So I just liked having something that was just beautiful. It was a good story. It had a good theme about trust in it, about being strong, finding it in yourself, keep moving forward. It had all the good Disney themes.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I was in the review that I wrote up at Silver Screen Insider right now, I was saying that yes, Disney, use their algorithm to kind of figure out the type of stories that they need to make and this and that. But I say that jokingly because they still find ways to kind of twist on them a bit. And it's especially done with Raya. Like I think despite, the basics of the story, being obvious and seeing what we've seen before, they still do so much to make it at least creative and interesting and breathtaking.
Awkwafina was so awesome as the dragon too.
Yeah, she's great.
She has such a great voice. She brings so much fun and liveliness.
Yeah, there's a free spirit nature that she brings to the character, but the character is also able to grow at the same time.
Yeah.
So it's not totally one note and it gets annoying.
Yeah, the live version of this is going to be awesome in 2023.
Stage version.
Yeah. Where Awkwafina plays a person in a dragon suit. Or a CGI dragon, which she already played, but she's going to play it again.
It'll be just like the anime version, but different.
Yeah, exactly.
Same but different. Well, let's hope that doesn't happen so soon, but...
Right.
Yeah, take it easy.
Let's enjoy
Disney.
this one first.
Take it easy, Disney. Let's not bring that back already.
Don't jump the shark just yet. No, this movie's excellent.
Yeah, it was really fun. And how was it, Kyle, watching a Disney movie with children? Because you don't have any children of your own. You're a young man with no children. How was it?
Childless.
I don't want to be cruel.
You're barren, Kyle.
Yes, you're going to be cruel to me. Oh no, the 20-year-old doesn't have children.
That he knows of.
Hey, you're not getting any younger.
It's happening eventually.
Kyle. We were just talking about gray hairs.
It's true, we did talk about that.
You have no children to take care of you.
No children, but you have gray hair?
Yeah, what's going on? TikTok.
You can't be old yet. You don't have children. No, I honestly enjoyed it because there was so many times where I'm viewing this movie and I'm trying to think of how a kid would react to these things, because there's moments where I'm like, that's not that scary, or I don't know if that has that much weight or impact, and I see over my shoulder how your kids are reacting to it, and they're having the reactions that I wasn't getting as an adult. So
having a visceral reaction to a quote unquote scary moment.
Yeah, exactly.
Jumping in mom's lap.
But it was good to know that the creatives were able to make a movie that can really hit for a kid's audience anyway, not necessarily for an adult. It's good for adults too, but I was at least appreciative of getting to see what it's like to react that way again as a kid, because I don't do that anymore, and it's sad.
You don't jump in your mommy's lap when you watch movies anymore.
The obvious expression, oh no, what's behind that door? As they approach the gates to the castle,
they're like,
it's like a castle behind the gate, and they're like, wonder what that could be.
Yeah, so many quips of obvious things, but it does show you that the film was built for or made for children, but it still has enough interest to get adults into the theater.
And that's really what's most important. It doesn't matter me as a 25-year-old man to be reviewing this movie and being like, I didn't think the reveal of the castle is all that great. Meanwhile, it works perfectly for a kid. So yeah, it was just a nice moment to be able to be like, you know what, just enjoy this.
The themes were sophomoric.
Exactly. I'm saying themes are mature for adults, but at the same time, the kid didn't know what was behind the gate. Yeah, it was a castle.
It was scary.
It was a scary castle.
The melancholy demeanor of the main character. No, there's none of that. This is a great family film for boys, girls, moms, dads. This was fits right into that category.
20-something-year-olds.
Bring your dog if they let you. Like, everyone's going to love this
Why
movie.
not anymore?
Totally.
We're expecting big things out of Raya. Even with the Disney Plus, we're expecting big things out of this weekend because of Raya, because of Tom and Jerry, because of the alternative content of Boogie and Chaos Walking,
Chaos Theory.
I know it's super easy to just stay home and pay the $30 and get Raya extra on the TV. But man, taking the kids out, we got them out of school. We did the special viewing here in the office.
I burned popcorn.
Ken burned popcorn, and they made a good thing of popcorn. We got popcorn and M&Ms.
Kids spilled the popcorn.
The kids spilled the popcorn.
After he finally didn't burn the popcorn.
Kyle was like, I so don't want kids.
Yeah. Kyle's like, there's a lot going on here. When I watch a movie, I make a snack and push play, and then that's it.
Yeah.
This was a whole
I feel
production.
like you guys could be getting rid of a bunch of extra steps right now.
Yeah, you guys are screwing this up right now.
Why are you spilling the popcorn? This isn't a step.
This is so much easier than you guys are making
There's
it.
the eating the popcorn off the floor after you spilt it.
No jumping on the couch.
Doesn't make me want to have kids.
No. But
Nice try, guys.
But when that film started and they got so into it, and
A hush
quieted
fell over
down,
the crowd.
It was fun, and I really miss taking them to the theater for that excitement. That when the lights go down and the movie's gonna start, the anticipation, all of that. Children love that, and I feel like they really miss out if you're not able to do that.
Yeah, if you've never been to a theater and then the main character disappears and you haven't heard a kid go, "Where did he go?" in the middle of the audience, you haven't lived.
You haven't lived.
You're not truly experiencing a movie.
Everybody listening to this, though, has had that experience, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it was so much fun. I just can't wait for our theater here to open up.
Yeah.
This summer's going to be
Yeah, no
great.
kidding.
So, speaking of streaming,
Were we?
let's segue into
Were
the
we
next
speaking
one.
of theaters specifically?
Yeah.
Speaking of the theater's new largest competitor.
Here we go. Speaking
There
of
you go.
coronavirus,
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of coronavirus, streaming has really taken off in the last.
Streaming is.
Oh, so Cody had read an interesting article about people's streaming habits and services.
Yeah, I mean, we're as theater owners and operators, we're really concerned about the streaming being a major competitor for our media dollars in this landscape. And it was just kind of interesting. This article looked at how many services are people actually paying for right now. Not how many services they have access to or what they're watching. It's how many are you actually paying for? Because that's the problem here, is that you're competing for that money, that entertainment money.
yeah.
And most people, I would say, I think it was something like 70% have one service. And that one service tends to be Netflix, because that's like the granddaddy. That's the one that the beginner one, everybody who's unfamiliar with streaming kind of jumps in with that one. And then there's another big portion of people that have two, which is usually like Netflix and one other. So like Netflix and Hulu or Netflix and Prime.
Yeah.
And then there's a smaller percentage that have three, and then the really small percentage is four or more.
Yeah.
So now when we're looking at four or more, you're looking at three, you're thinking, okay, I take care of the big ones, Netflix, Hulu, Prime.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but do I pay for anything else on top of that? And the answer is people really aren't paying. So in this streaming landscape, you're not only trying to convince people to purchase your streaming, you also need to convince them to give up the streaming somewhere else. And I think that's going to be a hard sell for some people, because granted, all of these added together are still cheaper than what cable was. So cord cutting cable wasn't very difficult because you were saving money.
Yeah.
But
If you wanted us to do the math, you can listen to last week's podcast. And
True.
Listen to Cody add these things up, or struggle to add these things up.
I tried to add them up before, so I didn't sound like I was struggling, but I struggled still, nonetheless.
It was relatable.
There's a lot of 99 cents adding up.
There was a lot of rounding up, so I didn't have to add that.
What's
$9.99,
$10
$10.
plus sales tax minus sales tax?
Yeah. The point is,
Do I have to include the internet cost in this?
is that for when you start thinking about the actual price of that, I think movie theaters still become attractive because it's the convenience of seeing all this media in one spot. Like, you're really only going to each of these streamings for one or two things. Like Disney, are you picking it for Mandalorian and Soul, and is that why you're paying for it? Like, what are you really paying for here? And I think it's gonna make consumers ask a lot of tough questions, and I think it's gonna make the movie theater seem more attractive because you know what you're getting. You're getting more than just the media. You're getting experience there.
And the seasons end. Like, Mandalorian has 10 episodes, and they play it over 10 weeks. Well, sorry to tell you this, Disney, but a year is 52 weeks long. You have 42 weeks of content to fill up to entice that Star Wars Mandalorian audience.
Yeah,
I know they're doing that. They're adding more.
They're going to do it and add
series
more,
and things like that. But HBO Max, like, what do you have?
Yeah.
I mean, that's why they're releasing all these movies week after week after week. And the Snyder Cut is in an off week for their film releases. They're just doing these periodically to keep people, but there's only so much content they have.
Yeah. I just think that it'll make theaters more attractive because you're getting something more than just content dumps. You're getting experiences. And so I don't know, if I'm looking at $10, I kind of rather go to the movie than a whole month of HBO Max or Paramount Plus or all of those things. So
it's just also easier to choose from. I mean, let alone choosing from multiple, or at least choosing content within, one of the ones that you're paying for, like Netflix, but also choosing, what content to watch from multiple streaming services. That's a nightmare. Meanwhile, at least at a movie theater, you can, choose, you have like a some amount that you can choose from. Like, most people walk into a movie theater anyway and look up at the screen or whatever that's showing the movies, and they're like, all right, which one do you want to go to? That one? All right, we'll do it.
I know. Yeah. If you feel like having another fight with your significant other, add another streaming service and say, hey, what do you want to watch? And they're like, oh, okay, we're going to argue about this too.
I know. Sometimes, we just, in our household, we have Netflix, Hulu, and Amazon. We haven't added any of the studio ones.
We don't pay
yet
for Amazon. And Hulu,
well, because Amazon is Prime.
Yeah, correct.
And then we have to pay for Hulu. So we do pay for Hulu, but we don't pay for any of the extras. And we pay for Netflix. But we've had Netflix forever, too. And it had a lot of kids.
People have. Yeah.
And a lot of kids.
For 8 years, at least.
Like, literally, it probably was in streaming for probably those, 8 years, almost 10 years before everyone else was like, hey, you know what?
Let's get in on this.
Maybe there's something to it.
And I felt like we were late to the party for people getting Netflix.
Yeah.
Trying to support theaters and keep that away. But
we're late adopters when it comes to this.
It's too enticing with
children. It was the children's content on there that got us. I mean, I love Disney, but I do not only want to watch Disney movies. I need something else.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's probably the same for, just about everyone else. Like, Netflix at least has a variety of everything in one spot. Plus, I mean, basically, they're like the granddaddy of all the streaming services, and they just were able to establish themselves so quickly.
But sometimes we get on Netflix, and if I don't want to watch British Baking, or we don't have a documentary or a stand-up comedy special, we just like... we can never decide.
Yeah, it just blurs your vision.
Yeah,
right?
And then I'm like, well, let's try Prime, and the same thing. And then 10 minutes goes by, and I'm like, well, let's try Hulu. And if there's not my few shows that I really like on Hulu, then I'm like, let's just turn it off. And that's usually how it ends up happening.
And honestly, that could be in part of why people only subscribe to like one streaming service, is because they're tired of... I mean, yes, all this stuff is appealing, but at the same time, people still have to make decisions on what to watch.
It's an overload of
it
options.
Still overloads you no matter what the content is.
Yeah. No, I have my few favorite shows, and if those aren't on, I kind of just not interested.
Yeah.
I'm glad that British Baking is able to be watched year round.
Glad you got that.
That's my go-to.
It's just it becomes a blur of shows and episodes and movies with people you recognize, but titles you don't.
Yeah.
Right. But then after 2 or 3, I'm not like, well, let's try YouTube, and now let's try Disney, and let's try that. I'm just not going to get all those.
Yeah, exactly.
Even if I didn't have loyalty to theaters and because a lot of the times people that are actual theater operators still have streaming service. I'm like, why? Don't be a traitor. call them out.
do it.
They have kids too.
I send my kids outside. Get outside. We don't need to watch the TV.
Which is pretty healthy.
Yeah, except it's nighttime sometimes. I'm just kidding. It's never nighttime. I would never do that to my babies. We snuggles.
Nighttime is for snuggling.
Yeah.
Send them out in the nighttime when it's cold.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, speaking of coronavirus, there's a trailer for us to react to.
Oh, yeah, there is.
I don't know, something there.
Lionsgate put out the Voyagers trailer. Well, I guess it's just Voyagers. I tried to make it sound more exciting than it was. How did you like it, Kyle? I did not.
I felt gross.
I felt gross too.
I guess the movie is about teenagers or early 20-somethings.
20-somethings.
That are in space, and I guess they
young adults
awake somehow. They like awaken for whatever reason, and then they realize that they have like feelings and emotions, and it causes like.
Well, they have to take the blue liquid. And
Okay.
then the blue liquid, it's
I
like
forgot about that. Okay.
It's like an experiment in space, and then they take the blue liquid, and they're supposed to unlock enhanced abilities. But then it goes from like sexual enhancements,
angst and sex and
to
sweat
to violence.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, ugh, no, thank you.
Goes from teen angst to Lord of the Flies, right?
Right, really quick.
It's just a 2020 Logan's Run remake. Like this. I saw this and I'm like, oh, Lionsgate couldn't for some reason buy the rights to Logan's Run, so they named it Voyagers.
Close enough.
It's the best part of the trailer for me was Colin Farrell at the end being like, he's a good actor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to see him in this, but he's good.
No, that's the same way.
That guy could be getting nominated for Oscars, man.
That's the same way everyone's going to feel about the Batman. They're going to be like, that guy's a great actor. Why is he in a Batman movie? Oh, hey, that guy's also a great actor. Is this really a Batman movie? Hey, look who else showed up.
Another great actor.
Is this still a Batman movie? We need one good actor and the rest to be terrible.
So this movie comes out, what, April 9th, right?
Oh, yeah, I think it is.
So
also in April.
you can try and play it.
Cody
but
wasn't counting this one for April.
I forgot about
but
this.
I don't think this one...
Well,
you go play Chaos Walking.
I feel like Lionsgate's really trying for that...
teen demographic.
Yeah, again.
Since like Hunger Games, right?
Yeah, the Hunger Games demographic.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's what I was trying to. I was like the bow shooting movie.
It's a screen filler. I mean, they're doing their thing to stay relevant and stay in people's minds.
I think it's also exclusive theatrical right now.
Yeah, they're still trying to like put stuff in theaters.
So I'm not going to knock that. It's just the trailer. I think it needs a better trailer. I was not impressed with this trailer, and I don't think is it PG-13 or is it going to be R? So if you're playing up the PG-13, you shouldn't play up the sex stuff. That's just not going to play well in family markets, and that actually put me off a little bit for some of the locations, because there are some locations that if it's a violent movie, that's fine, but if it's a sexy movie, it's a no-go. And I felt I got the impression that they were playing that up a little bit here. And
I still don't see too many families going to this to begin with, but
no. But it's like that teenager, demographic.
No,
I don't
if you
know.
want a super awkward movie experience, take your parents to this.
Take your mom to this. Grandma. Nana, let's
go. Let's have a memory we won't forget.
Just a movie full of innuendo and sexy cutscenes where people fall onto the bed and then it cuts and you're like, oh God, I don't want to watch this with my grandma.
Kill me.
People kissing non-geographic pieces of skin. You're like, I'm not sure if that's an arm or a leg, or that could be something else.
Leave it to the imagination.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, Grandma, what part do you think that was?
Make a game out of it with your family. I think we sold this movie well.
I think we did too.
I think we did a good job
I take
today.
it back. I'm going to play it everywhere. Plus the instructions on how to play this.
Right.
It's right around Mother's Day, right? No, that's
it's right around Easter, right?
Easter. Yeah, Grandma's in town. She's in her Easter dress. Take her out to the movies.
This was a good laugh.
But we've got the trailer up on silverscreeninsider.com.
Yeah, maybe I read too much into the trailer. Check it out. Make it, let me know what your thoughts are on it, because maybe I'm just old lady now, and I'm like, oh,
maybe it's just a movie that's not
too
for
much
us.
for me. It's too old. Damn kids and their dirty movies.
That's what I'm saying too. When I'm in my 20s still, I'm young and hip still. I remember
you don't have
Games.
kids. You don't have kids. You're
hey
married.
Kids, let's watch Hunger Games. Everyone still likes that now, right?
Yeah, Kyle, this movie is lit. It's on fleek, bro. Totes.
Make sure I use a skull emoji.
Right.
Fire emoji, eggplant emoji.
Yeah.
That's what this movie's all about.
Does this
skull? I'm dead.
Does Colin Farrell have a Colin Farrell emoji?
Yeah.
Oh, I hope so. Does this mean we're out of here now?
We're out of here. I cannot wait for the weekend. I'm very excited. Raya is gonna do so good.
Yeah, we're really happy by how things are going now.
Yep.
See it. If you're not promoting, you're behind the 8 ball, but there's still shows on Saturday and Sunday to get out there and promote.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
We are ready for this. We're ready for a big Disney animated movie.
And
today.
And we still hope that Tom and Jerry does really well.
Oh yeah.
I hope that still brings people in. And we've got Chaos Walking, and Boogie. So we got
Boogie, yeah.
We got like 4 films that we really need to do well this weekend. So get those people in there. I know
there's 4 more than at the beginning of the pandemic.
And we've got New York opening, so we should see a really good gross this weekend.
True.
4 wide releases and 2 PG animated releases.
I heard that that Liam Neeson is going to be at a theater in New York inviting people and welcoming them back to the theater to see Marksman, because New York theaters haven't opened, and so he's going to make an appearance to invite people back to see Marksman.
That's really cool, actually.
Yeah, I thought that was awesome. And Marksman was great. And
Marksman will be #1 now.
I'm still playing Marksman in a lot of places because it was good.
No, it's an awesome idea. This is what Christopher Nolan and Tom Cruise did with Tenet. Like Tom Cruise was in London for Tenet.
Tom Cruise?
Yeah, he was shooting Mission Impossible, and they had a screener for Tenet that
he went to a theater and said, "I'm in a theater watching Tenet." It was a whole thing. But Liam Neeson, I hope nobody gets abducted on the street, because the person who does the abducting is in deep shit.
Yeah. Everybody's going to look at Liam Neeson and he's going to be like, I'm out.
He's going to be like, someone called the police. Why are you looking at me?
He's going to be like, fine, and then trudge down the street and then kill everyone involved.
He's like, this is why I don't make appearances.
I have to kill the kidnappers every time.
Oh, we love you, Liam Neeson. We love you. All right. Everyone, thank you for listening to this episode of the Off the Break podcast. You can find us on all podcast platforms and at silverscreeninsider.com. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to silverscreeninsider.com, because for all these releases going on, we have so many assets for marketing. We have so much film information that a movie theater owner or manager or projectionist could know about. So hop on over there, and that way you'll be able to see all the stuff that we have available for your theater.
And if you rewind 15 seconds, you can listen to Kyle profess his romantic love for Liam Neeson. Have a good weekend, everybody.
Bye.